Wake up in New York, and you might discover you have no pillow, no roof, no promise at all. Never in living memory has it been this simple for an ordinary resident to tumble into homelessness. Yet that is the harsh truth gripping the city today. New York once felt like the pulsing heart of the nation, a place where the neon of Times Square glowed without pause, and the Statue of Liberty lifted every dream sky high. Step only a block away from the polished storefronts, slip into the alleys near Hudson Yards or West 39th, and the fantasy shatters. Tents cling to brick walls like warning flags, garbage spills across curbs, and tired men and women sit on cracked concrete while passers-by dodge their gaze. In this video, we pull back the glittering curtain and walk straight into those hidden corridors that daylight rarely touches. We are not spreading doom for drama's sake. We are showing a side of the city many refuse to face so that people can prepare and respond wisely. Ready to explore the shadows behind the bright skyline? Let's dive in. The city that once sold the American dream now delivers an American chill. Below the skyscrapers, thousands curl up on benches, squeeze into subway corners, or stretch across cardboard beneath the humming billboards of Times Square. Coalition for the Homeless reports that the city now counts more than 350,000 people without a steady place to stay. Every evening, roughly 132,000 squeeze into crowded shelters, and thousands more battle for any park bench or train corridor that still feels safe. Worse, each month the tide rises higher like a flood that refuses to turn back. Elder citizens who once built the very bones of the boroughs now watch the sky through nylon tent roofs. They spent decades paying taxes, pouring concrete, teaching children. Yet tonight many guard their last belongings under a flimsy blanket while rain taps down. Walk from Brooklyn to Manhattan, and you see tents blooming like weeds. Trash mounts beside flattened sleeping bags. The scent of urine drifts on sticky summer air, and locals start to treat it as background noise. Central Park lawns and Broadway corners that once drew live television crews now echo with coughing and shouts as people search for safety in plain sight. How can a territory with an economy as large as a mid-sized nation allow so many to sleep outdoors? If the launch pad of the American dream is turning into its finish line, where can hope go next? Manhattan stands as the glittering emblem of wealth, the home of Wall Street and endless glass towers. Yet only steps from the tourist trail you find scenes that feel ripped from a survival film. People slump beneath scaffolding, crowd into subway tunnels, and guard slices of sidewalk like they guard breath itself. Reports confirm Manhattan now holds the greatest density of unhoused residents anywhere in the 5 boroughs. Stroll 10 meters in the Midtown core, and you almost always meet at least one person curled on cold stone. West 39th between 9th and 10th is now a solid line of tents. Old parking lots, back alleys in Hell's Kitchen, and the echoing halls of Penn Station have become makeshift dormitories. Night makes the picture even bleaker. Dark streets swallow the glow from digital screens, and a hush of danger hovers, as though invisible bombs of tension and anger tick away in silence. One officer admitted, "We have stopped patrolling that street regularly." Even guardians of the law hesitate to enter some blocks once dusk settles, a chilling sign of how fragile safety has become. Why do forbidden zones appear in the wealthiest district of the wealthiest city? The answer is tangled. Housing support, job programs, mental health care, and addiction treatment each demand huge funds, steady leadership, and coordination that often stalls under bureaucracy. City Hall continues to push new pilot centers, district plans, and outreach crews, yet progress feels painfully slow while tents multiply overnight. If Manhattan cannot ensure one soft pillow for every resident, what does that reveal about the state of New York as a whole? For anyone who remembers the city 5 years back, these figures can feel like a punch in the chest. The crisis keeps expanding, the faces keep aging, and the question keeps echoing through the canyons of steel and glass. How long before the dreamers who still believe in this place also run out of places to stand? A $20 breakfast is not a luxury treat any longer. It is the new normal in New York, and it comes with a sting that feels almost personal. $9 for a dozen eggs, milk priced at twice its pre-pandemic tag, bread that can soak up more than an entire hourly wage. The sticker shock lands like a punch every single morning. Fresh reports from Numbeo and Bloomberg show that Gotham has now outrun San Francisco, Los Angeles, even Washington, D.C., to claim the crown for the steepest cost of living in the nation. Grocery staples have soared 75 to 90% since the last big holiday season, while Social Security checks for retirees limped upward less than 1/4 during the same stretch. For thousands of elders, the math feels cruel. Basic needs such as food, pills, and bus fare devour between $1,200 and $1,500 each month before rent is even mentioned. Growing old in New York feels like paying a hidden penalty simply for cherishing memories that were made back when a subway ride cost spare change. Yet groceries are only one slice of the pain. Apartment rents have bolted so high that a modest one-bedroom in Manhattan now tears past $4,000 every moon cycle. Federal guidelines warn that no one should pour more than 30% of earnings into housing, but over 40% of city residents surrender half or more just to secure a roof. Supply tells an even darker tale. The National Low-Income Housing Coalition counts only 36 truly affordable units for every 100 low-income households. That leaves more than 70 families forced to scramble or sleep outside, stripped of choice, stripped of shelter, sacrificed to a market that refuses to slow. How is anyone meant to survive on a pension that barely touches $1,800 each month while prices sprint out of reach like balloons in a gale? The hardship is not limited to senior citizens either. New York also claims thousands of children who greet dawn without a bedroom of their own, who skip class to queue at charity food counters, who pronounce survival lessons long before they spell simple words. We can no longer pretend homelessness strikes only the extremely poor. It lurks over the working class, and even those who once called themselves comfortably middle. With pay frozen and prices rising like steam, a single sudden bill can shove an entire household onto the sidewalk faster than a winter gust. Every statistic betrays the very builders of this powerhouse city. If this is not a crisis, then what word can possibly describe it? The squeeze grows worse as new arrivals pour in seeking a fresh start. Streams of migrants come from Venezuela, Haiti, Canada, the Middle East, and from other states such as Texas or Florida, each clutching hope that the city of Lady Liberty still keeps her promises. During the last 2 years, more than 175,000 immigrants and refugees have reached New York, swelling a support system already stretched thin. The city has burned through more than $2 billion in under 12 months for temporary rooms, meals, and urgent medical aid. Even so, help now feels like a lottery ticket, deciding who wins a cot in a drafty tent and who must bed down on bare pavement. Newcomers discover a harsh truth. Without papers, they cannot claim stable jobs, qualify for formal aid, or lease apartments, so they land in hotels that convert to shelters, in camp rows under scaffolding, or in cavernous centers long past capacity. Many drift to the curb within weeks, becoming part of an ever-growing, invisible population. Tension widens the gap between longtime residents and immigrants. Some locals believe newcomers jump the line for scarce housing or benefits while their own families struggle, while new arrivals feel shunned by a city that once held its arms wide. Each side eyes the other with worry, and the strain pushes the most fragile out first, like dominoes toppling in slow motion. If New York mirrors the nation, then the mirror now shows an uncomfortable portrait. A land famed for breadth and wealth suddenly appears cramped, running out of space for the very people who personify its founding promise. Is the humanitarian ideal still alive, or has the immigration dream curdled into nightmare beneath the skyline that once glowed with welcome? Remember when the middle tier of society felt secure. Parents worked dual shifts, kept tidy homes beyond the river, bought groceries on weekends, taught their kids to reach higher. Those pillars are sinking now inch by inch beneath runaway expenses. In modern New York, a family can clock 40 hours weekly, hold university diplomas, keep credit debt at zero, and still teeter on the brink. A one-bedroom passes $4,000. A two-bedroom for parents and two children demands $8,000 to $10,000 net each month just to stand still. For most salaried staff, that sum is pure fantasy. If one wage earner loses hours, if a sudden illness generates an unforeseen bill, if a downsizing notice appears without warning, the entire household can tumble from stability to crisis within 7 days. The middle class is disappearing, and fast. According to the Pew Research Center, over the past 2 decades, the U.S. middle class has shrunk by nearly 11%. But in New York, that decline is happening at an even more alarming speed. People who once proudly owned homes are now squeezed into rented rooms, doubling up with relatives, or stuck in crumbling apartment blocks. Some sleep in their cars, others in shelters. And yet, every morning, they still show up at work in Midtown, dressed like everything's normal. Once, the middle class stood as a safety net, an invisible line keeping society from cracking in two. But now that line is vanishing. The support is gone. The margin for error has disappeared. And second chances, they don't exist anymore. Nothing is more dangerous than a city where even the most hardworking people are treated like they don't matter. They're not poor enough for help, not rich enough to help themselves, just stuck. New York used to be the land of opportunity. But now, opportunity comes with a price tag that turns it into a privilege. And that privilege, it's slipping away from the very people who once made this city thrive. How much longer can a place survive when those who built it can no longer afford to live in it? You've probably walked right past them, not because they're hidden, but because the city has turned them invisible. People like Lydia. Lydia is 78 years old. She's been homeless for over 40 years. She once had a rent-controlled apartment, but when the person named on the lease moved out, she was evicted. Just like that. She's been without a home ever since. Though she qualified for Social Security years ago because of medical issues, her paperwork was never processed. No one followed up. No one represented her. No one helped her fight for something as basic as a room with a door that locks. She says, well, no matter where I live, I'm a square peg and this is a round wall. So, no matter where I live, I don't fit. Lydia doesn't feel welcome anywhere in this country. Not in this city. Not in this system. She doesn't dream anymore. She gave up on that long ago. Now she just tries to survive. New York is more than just a city. It's a symbol. A place where dreams were supposed to begin. But today, it's become the place where so many dreams turn to dust. Step off the subway in Midtown, and you'll see it. Next to a shining glass tower, someone is curled up beside the emergency exit. That's not a hidden crisis. That's a wound, wide open and raw, right in the center of the wealthiest city in America. What kind of future is coming when the most dedicated people are being pushed out? Elderly residents who simply can't keep up with costs. Working parents juggling 2 jobs and still falling short on rent. Immigrants who came with dreams but found only a wall of delays and wait lists. Children born into instability with no place to call home. Is it really prosperity when only the top floors can feel it? When sidewalks double as beds? When public parks become long-term shelters? When train stations turn into dead ends? We have to ask the hard question. Yes, New York is leading, but leading in what? Officials can hold press conferences. Budgets can be debated. Assistance programs can be promised. But what does that matter when kids sleep under neon signs? When seniors cry quietly in the corner of a shelter? When tens of thousands close their eyes each night without knowing what tomorrow will bring? That's no longer a budget issue. That's a conscience issue. New York was supposed to open its arms to everyone, no matter where they came from or what they looked like. But if even this city, this beacon of hope, no longer has space for its elderly, its poor, its tired workers, what does that say about the future of the rest of America? There are things you won't see from the top of a skyscraper. You won't see a man shaking in the cold outside on the pavement. You won't hear a grandmother whispering to herself as she chooses between dinner or her medication. You won't notice a child trying to fall asleep on a park bench while the world rushes by. But they're all still there. Not in the shadows. Not far away. They are right here, in the heart of the richest city in the country. Right under the flashing signs. Right behind the slogans. Right in the middle of the so-called future. Maybe the American dream still exists in this city. But if it does, it's sitting behind a wall of glass, unreachable for those who've given everything to chase it. No matter how hard they work, no matter how much they sacrifice, they still can't touch it. This video isn't meant to shame or attack. It's not for outrage. It's a mirror, showing a side of New York that's easy to forget, but impossible to ignore once seen. Because sometimes, the stories we try hardest to avoid are the very ones we must confront. What do you think about the growing homeless crisis in New York? Leave a comment below. We want to hear your perspective. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to help support this channel and stay up to date with our future videos. Thank you for watching. This content was created using publicly available and reliable sources. It is meant for awareness, education, and commentary. It is not financial or legal advice. We encourage all viewers to seek out multiple sources before forming a conclusion.